Hello and welcome back to another episode of Nick Tiffany's Movie Reviews, coming at you online and in print format at nicktiffany.com, in audio format wherever you get your podcasts, and even in video on YouTube, TikTok, Reels, pretty much anywhere you have social media, you can find us. Today is super exciting because this is the first time I've done a film interview in years, probably like 6 years, I would say. And it's awesome that it happens to happen at the Seattle International Film Festival. This is the 50th year of SIFF. It's been so much fun bouncing around from the Uptown to the new SIFF Cinema downtown, the once Cinerama, to the Egyptian Theater. Seattle is just such a cool place for a film festival, and it's so awesome to be so close to really experience it all here. Today we are talking about the film Thelma, and specifically we're talking with director and writer Josh Margolin, June Squibb, who is the titular Thelma, and then Fred Hechinger, who plays her worrisome grandson in the film. The film is just a delight. It is a look at a grandmother who gets scammed out of a lot of money by people taking advantage of her relationship with her grandson. Something I think we're all pretty familiar with. It's frustrating, it's upsetting, and understandably her family doesn't want her getting retribution and going to track them down, but they don't know Thelma Post, because when she sets her mind to something, she's going to do it. So, inspired by action movies, she goes out on independent ops in an attempt to get her money back. It was so much fun watching this film with a responsive audience. The laughter, the cries, the people turning to each other like, oh my God, that's grandma, or that's grandpa, or those are our helicopter parents. It has just got so much for everybody of every age, and so many great discussions about being open to asking for help and not feeling shame if you're not able to do certain things. Just great messages, a great film, and I had such a lovely conversation with the three of them. Thank you again for tuning in. Without further ado, please enjoy the interview. Jude, I was curious, was there maybe something that you might have learned from one of your grandmothers, if you knew them, that you kind of carried throughout your life? Maybe was there ever something that you perhaps shared together that maybe your parents might not have loved or didn't know?
My father's mother made wine in the cellar, and she gave it to me, and it used to piss my mother off. She would get so mad because she was giving me wine, but she made it, so it was okay.
How old were you at the time?
Probably 6, 7 years old.
Oh,
I was very young. Yeah. She made it all the time. We had a huge grape arbor we lived next door to each other and had a huge grape arbor between. She'd go out and get all these grapes and go down in her basement and make the wine.
Did she make it with like a children's ratio? Or
I don't know how she. I never watched
I don't know what
her
that would
make
be.
it. I just
She never employed you to do any of the stomping for her?
She stomped. No, she wasn't a stomper like that. But I will never forget that.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Neither will we.
Yeah.
Fred, I got a question for you. I loved the line about being too young to be stuck. I feel like it's hard to be old when you're young. I feel like when I turned 21, you think finally I'm at the adults table and everyone tells you you're a baby. You're 24 now. I remember being 24 and people saying like, you're a child still. You know, there's so much to come, and it kind of feels debilitating sometimes because it's hard not to compare ourselves to our seniors or where other people are at in their lives. And something I caught last night on the second viewing of this movie is that you're an executive producer on this film. And I was curious if there was something specific in the story that drew you to it so passionately that you wanted to put a little more skin in the game other than just a great performance.
Thank you. I just felt, the moment I read the script and met Josh and learned that Jude was doing it, all of those factors together, it was a no-brainer to me. It felt, you always said when you read the script, you were like, I need to do this. I felt the same way. And because of that need, I also felt that there were behind the scenes things that maybe I could offer and help with. And knowing both, I find both sides of those help one another. You know, we're so in it together that then you start to know what the crew needs to, you know, how they can feel most comfortable, how they can do the best job. And then also at the end of the day, I think when you're acting in something, you're surfacing a story, and so our preparation from a pre-production standpoint only made it clearer to me what the story was in terms of the acting. So I felt that they really connected with
Kind of helped inform
Yeah.
one another almost.
Yeah, and it felt very you're right, it is a kind of funny and sweet paradox that in playing a character who feels most stuck and coddled and not grown up, I felt
Here you are taking on a few different adult duties.
The two hats of that and how they spoke up together. So it was really. It was.
Did you find you had a good experience or a good enough experience that you're curious to maybe try some other aspects now in filmmaking as well? Or?
Yeah, I've done it a couple of times now, and I feel passionate about continuing to build films that way.
It feels very like integrated to your presence on a set. Like Fred's just very like holistic, I think, in that way. Like the care is about the whole. Obviously, the care is about the role, but the care is also about the whole thing, and just about elevating it and protecting it, and helping make it the best version of itself. And I think that's a beautiful quality that is that's essential to that, to doing that, to being that part of a movie too. So
definitely shines through.
I can vouch for both of these things.
Josh's vision was so clear that it was like. And so unique that it was like, you feel the vision in first talking.
You can't wait to get into
joke where you're like, Josh must have like 9 secret movies he made before.
Yeah.
On the first go.
You'll have to track down my other
Yeah. So we're on a hunt right now. Yeah.
Josh, I've got a question for you. So I just, a few months ago, had the privilege of having both of my grandmothers at my wedding. One of whom lives in Texas and I probably hadn't seen in like 5 years almost. So watching this film, it brings up a lot of emotions. It obviously makes you want to call your grandparents. It makes you want to speak to them, tell you love them in these different ways. It's something that was just so different for me to experience. Was after all that time had passed, and now maybe feeling a little more adult as I transition to a new place of life. The dynamic of our relationship kind of changed. How they look at me and maybe how I look at them. So I'm curious if there was ever a time where you can remember with your own Thelma, where how your relationship really changed, or when you kind of really started seeing her in a different light.
It's interesting. It's funny. It's like there have been so many sort of chapters to her old age in a way, because I guess she's technically been sort of an older person ever since I was born.
Sure.
She was like in her 70s, but now that feels like nothing because she's 103 now. Because it's like 104 in July. So she's like, there have been these different chapters of her getting older, and obviously alongside I'm kind of coming of age through that time. So I think it's when we spend a lot of time, it's the times when we don't spend as much time together, when I'm going to school, if I'm working, if I'm away, that I almost can see more change and feel more difference coming back. But I think also what's been kind of beautiful for me about our relationship is the constant nature of it, that it's felt in some ways it's felt like exactly as it did when I was young. Because I think even then she sort of always just had a really sort of strong support and belief in me in a way that I think I really took in. So it's a great question. I feel like I'm giving a long and confusing answer, but
life is long and confusing.
Life is long and confusing, and so is this. Yeah, so are my thoughts on it. It's interesting. There have definitely been. I think the thing that I felt more recently is that there's some irony in that in working on the movie, I feel like I've actually probably spent a little less time with her than I've spent in other chapters of my life, just because it's been so busy. It's been so all-consuming. So I've thought about that sometimes. There's sort of a strange irony in this, like, I'm so immersed in the world of like her story and making this movie for her, and in turn somehow I feel like there are times when I'm like, oh my god, I feel like I haven't seen her in a long time. I need to go over there. I need to catch up. But totally, I've been lucky that she's been such a constant in some ways, and that even now, and in her 100s, she's still herself, which is a lucky thing to sort of her body is slowing in some ways, but her mind is still her mind. And
that's wonderful.
Been a real gift to have around.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, like any, I would say, great piece of art that really moves you, that you either watch or you contribute to, I feel like you end up taking something away from those experiences, whether it's a monologue, whether it's a painting, a movie you've done. And so I'm curious what you feel maybe you came away from with this film that you're going to take in your life going forward.
That's a good question too.
There are lines in this that definitely have rattled around in my brain since we filmed it. So over a year now, 2 years now. And I sometimes have that where something will be happening in my life and I'll respond to it. Like I'll talk to myself with something that June and Thelma said, and it's funny in that way.
You hear the voice.
Stick with you. Yeah.
You're gonna be okay.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I actually have times that I've been stressed about things. I've heard the sweet sound of June's voice saying, "You're gonna be okay," and it means something.
Our time with Richard too was a really meaningful part. I mean, obviously our time with each other, but we still get to see each other. And obviously Richard sadly passed away, but I think we all really loved working with him, and he brought such like a warmth and a joy and just a charm to the set. And I think everybody really just loved having him around. And he's just such a wonderful actor and gave such a beautiful performance. But I think our time with him felt kind of special because we didn't know it was going to be
Sure.
sort of so close to the end for him.
Sure. But it's a really honest performance and one that, among a lot of honest and wonderful performance, definitely stands out.
We feel lucky to have, got to do that with him too.
And he loved it. He had a great
fun.
time.
He got to work with you, so.
Yeah.
It was fun.
I think so.
Not really a question, more so just a quick comment, Fred. I thought it was cool. We share a birthday on December 2nd, and now I know 3 people who have that birthday.
Oh.
So, if IMDb is to be believed.
That's not right, but we're very
Oh, man.
close.
Okay.
We're both Sagittarius.
We are, though.
That is true.
I got to call IMDb.
You gotta guess.
Yeah, I'm sorry that.
No, you're good. This is why, I'm glad I clarified.
Straight there, but we are both Sagittarius.
In June, I just wanted to say what a treat this was. The first ever interview I got to do when I was a sophomore in high school was for Nebraska. And I got to speak with Bob Nelson, and we talked about your performance, and it was the first time I had the privilege of seeing your performance, so it's cool. Some 6 years later, having not done interviews and coming back and having my first one be with a leading role for you is really special. So it's just a treat for me. And Josh, the Dr. Pepper, that, my grandfather, when I was little, that was his out in our ranch. We've got a picture of him.
Texas?
Yes. Yes, sir. But my grandpa snuck me Dr. Pepper when I was probably a few years old, and we've got a picture of it, and it has started a long...
Amazing.
Oh.
My wine is...
It is. The rivers run with Dr. Pepper in my house.
Glad to know it. It's definitely it's been my go-to.
Oh,
My favorite commercial, that I'm a pepper, you're a pepper, he's a pepper.
That-
Dr. Pepper, you're a pepper.
I got a cool... I had a Dr. Pepper shirt like that.
A shirt?
I haven't seen it with Popeye.
There's one, it's that guy who was in American Werewolf in London, that actor.
Okay.
Singing, he's like marching on the street, singing the Dr. Pepper theme.
Okay.
And then an animated Popeye comes out and starts drinking Dr. Pepper.
Cool.
It's wild. Oh my
I,
god.
I got a We're a Pepper shirt during COVID.
Really?
Dr. Pepper was doing a whole bunch of stuff supporting local restaurants and bars. And so I work in a restaurant, and I was like, all right, I'll supply. I love Dr. Pepper.
I
And
like this.
got the nice, maroon style sleeve cufflinks. So it's pretty fun. It looks super vintage and old school, but very fun. Hit the Dr. Pepper Museum in Waco. If you get down there, it's worth it. It's worth it.
Cane sugar, but you could only get it in Texas.
There are certain ones that I'm like, you can get the bottled ones elsewhere, but they really do have a pure cane sugar version down there
Really?
that's like Texas exclusive.
That's amazing. Oh man. Well, thanks guys.
Thank you all so much.